Top of it, I see y'all already tapping in with a pimp.
Bitch, you always on my line.
So King, I see you.
Never got a dime, you got a time to get a liquor store, the D-boy and designer glory. Then you hit my line and all I
King Negus, I see you. Some more of it. Mr. McDonald, dig that, I see you. AG, I see you. Don Perignon, top of it once again. Y'all go ahead, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain, man. Y'all already know to get down over here. Yes, indeed. Emmanuel, peace and blessings. Cali Kid TV, I see you. First name, last name. What's up with it? You ain't trying to run the checkup, you just do it for fashion. Man, I love it when a bitch is a hoe. She don't ever choose the cloud. Danny Grayson with the $5 holla. I appreciate you. Good looking. Nakarashi, what it do, man? I see you. Top of it. D Natural, peace and love. I see you. Blue Hunted, what's up with it, man? Yeah, we're gonna have a good one tonight, man. Last night was pretty good. This one gonna be another classic, man. Hitting y'all with classics. Suave, Oscar Jones, I see y'all. Hershey's Kisses, what's up with it? Richie Luxury, I see you. Razor Ramon, what's up with it, man? Blessings as always. Jason Rivera, what's up with it? Khalil, top of it, man. Danny Grayson say peace to the God Freeze. Last night's live was right on time. I appreciate you, man. Good looking. Action Pack 901, I see you. Howard Ellis, P's up indeed. You did? Player D, what's up with it? Booby the Ruby, I see you. Leslie White, Eric Garrett, Francino 079, I see you. Sin City 702, what's up with it? I see y'all. Yeah, okay, we got a good amount of people in here right away. So we're going to get right into it, man. Nidhamu the Great with the $3 holla. I appreciate you. Good looking. All right, top of it to all y'all. Once again, you know, thank you and welcome for tuning in to Freeze Is It. First order of business, y'all already know, man. We got to put some love in our body, man. We got to put this love juice in. Nakarashi, I appreciate you with the $20 holla as always. Good looking. Yeah, man, we put love in our body, man, as always. Once again, tonight we putting that love juice in our body, man. This shit gonna love you even when you don't love it. Love this shit. Stay hydrated, man. Put some love in your body. I know all of y'all hoarding all the water because every time I go to the store, I don't never see none of that shit. So everybody got some water, man. Everybody got some love in their life to put in their body, man. Go ahead and do that one time for a pimp. Please and thank you. And also, I see 75 of y'all in here. 50 of y'all wiped your feet off at the door. I appreciate y'all for doing so, man. When you step into a pimp's domain, man, do a pimp a favor. The least you could do is wipe your feet off at the door, man. What I mean by that is hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button for a pimp one time. Please and thank you. I appreciate y'all. Thank everybody for tuning in. You know what I mean? We about to get into it. You know, this subject matter tonight, obviously, as the title suggests, the distinguished pimp. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the distinguished pimp, man. It's a few things that that distinguish the pimp, that distinguish the distinguished pimp from the average individual. Not just in the game, but just the average individual in the world, period, right? See, Shantae Matlock with the $2 holla. Good looking. I appreciate you. Thank you for blessing us with this game, P. I appreciate you. Good looking. Yeah, but okay. So like I said, it's a few things in particular. It's a lot of things really that separate the distinguished pimp from the majority of pimps, right? The average pimp. Which that don't even really sound right saying the average pimp, because pimps ain't average, you know. Even the quote unquote average pimp, he not average, you know what I mean? Like pimp and average, that's like an oxymoron, you know. That shit don't even really go together. So we gonna say the majority of pimps. It's a lot of things that separate the distinguished pimp from the majority of pimps, right? But there are three major things that separate the distinguished pimp from the majority of pimps, right? And we're going to touch on them three major things. And then after we touch on them three major things, we might touch on, you know, various different things in general. But like I say, it's three major things that separate the distinguished pimp from the majority of pimps. And some of y'all have heard me touch on this before, but we're going to get into greater detail. We're going to have this video dedicated strictly to that. You dig? And the first thing we're going to touch on is self-importance, a feeling of self-importance, or, you know, you could also say self-confidence, right? That's one thing that the distinguished pimp is banked up on, right? The distinguished pimp is banked up on self-confidence. The distinguished pimp, he's banked up on his sense of self-importance, right? He realizes that he's an important individual. And the thing about the distinguished pimp, when he's around other distinguished pimps, or just other pimps, period, or other individuals, period, you know, this distinguished pimp, he's so banked up on his self-confidence and his sense of self-importance, you know, that doesn't waver depending on the circumstance, depending on who he's around, depending on what's going on. It, you know, that's solidified in who he is, in his nature, in his character, in his being. That's the thing about the distinguished pimp. He's always going to remain confident. He's always going to have that sense of self-importance. He's always going to realize and know to himself, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he's the most important motherfucker in the equation, whatever equation that he's in, right? Now, you know, you might, this distinguished pimp, he might be around, you know, another pimp or other pimps, plural, that might have more materialistic things than him, right? He realizes that, you know, materialistic things, because this distinguished pimp, he might have more materialistic things than the next pimp or the next pimps, right? But whatever shoe, whatever shoe, whatever foot the shoe is on, you know, whatever the situation may be, this distinguished pimp understands that these these materialistic things are just situations, and this situation doesn't determine his importance. This distinguished pimp understands that his raw, uncut, butt naked pimping is what makes him important, not these material things. So with him having that understanding firmly, you know, fixed in his mind, he understands that when he's around other individuals that have less than him, you know, the fact that he has more materials than them, that 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 isn't the basis of his importance. And the same thing, if he's around other motherfuckers that got more materialistic things than him, he understands that those things alone don't make an individual important. They just in a nice situation at the time or whatever. And situations change throughout life. None of us stay in the same situation forever. And the distinguished pimp understands that. So, he it's not possible to make the distinguished pimp feel insecure because somebody might have on more or better jewelry than him, or they might be driving, what somebody might think is a better car than him, or you know, uh, the way the individual looks, the other pimps around him might be taller, or they might be in better shape, or whatever the case may be. They might look better for whatever reason, one reason or another. The distinguished pimp understands what makes him important. And he understands that what makes him important has nothing to do with his situation, you know. And the fact that he's so important, that's what makes his situation good, is, what makes him important, and him being in tune with what makes him important, right? So, you know, basically this distinguished pimp, because he's so in tune with his value, his understanding of his self-importance, right? Like I said, he's not made insecure by whatever situation is going on around him, right? So because of that, he doesn't have any room within him for jealousy or envy, right? He don't even know how to be jealous or envious of anybody or anything, right? The distinguished pimp don't. So because of that, you never gonna hear him say any like hater type shit, you know, uh, about somebody that might be doing better than him, or might have something going on that he don't have going on, you know. And all the time, it don't always have to be material things that make somebody jealous or insecure of the next person, right? It could be the fact that you know, uh, shit, females are just have a tendency to be more attracted to this individual than this distinguished pimp. You know, the next individual might be a better speaker. They might be more charismatic, whatever the case, than this distinguished pimp. This distinguished pimp, he's so in tune with himself that he doesn't feel any type of way about somebody who might be gifted in a way that he's not gifted in. You did, because he's in tune with his gifts, and him being in tune with his gifts, that reaffirms to him his value. That reaffirms to him his self-importance, right? So the distinguished pimp, man, he just don't even know how to be jealous. He don't know how to be envious of nobody. So because of that, you know, uh, you never gonna hear him say any like hater shit. You never gonna hear him say any jealous shit. And see, you got a lot of cats, like I say, the majority of pimps mixed in that majority, not all of them, but you got some cats mixed in the majority of pimps who, excuse me for a second. You got some cats that's mixed in the majority of pimps who have it within them to be jealous. They not in tune with a sense of self-value, self-importance, self-confidence. You got some cats in the game that's not in tune with that, right? And they have a false sense of self-importance. You know, whatever material things they may have in their possession, or whatever their situation might be, they financial situation or whatever the case may be, or whatever bitch they may have at the time, that's what makes them feel important. That's what they self-confidence, they self-value, they self-importance, that's what that's what it rides on, is whatever situation they in at the time. A lot of these dudes. So of course, when they lose the situation, guess what gets lost with the situation? They self-confidence, they sense of self-importance, they self-value. When they lose that situation, all of those things go right along with it. So, when they see somebody else that might be doing better than them or have something that they feel like they should have, because that's really what jealousy and envy, hold on. Yeah, that's where that jealousy and envy really come from. A feeling of inadequacy. You know, in the distinguished pimp, he don't even know how to feel. He don't know nothing about feeling inadequate. You know, he always knows that he's more than fit for whatever situation, whatever individual he dealing with, or whatever the case may be, right? The distinguished pimp know he the man for the job. Anytime, whenever, wherever, right? But that them cats mixed in the majority who ain't in tune with that, they have it in them to be jealous. And see, a lot of them are real good, right? They so good at what they do that they don't even realize they doing the shit they damn self, right? You know, and y'all done heard me speak on shit like this before, but you got a lot of these insecure dudes this mixed in the majority of pimps who say certain things like, you know, they say certain things, and they have a way of delivering the shit in a lighthearted type of way to make it seem like it's not really coming from a place of jealousy or envy, but it really is. Like for instance, I'm a light skinned pimp. you know uh I ain't always got the most light skinned ways. A lot of people kind of put that put that stigma on me. They think I got a lot of dark skinned ways sometimes, but whatever the case may be, right? I'm a light skinned pimp. And see, you got a lot of cats who have, like I say, they don't have that sense of self-value, self-importance, self-confidence. So a lot of cats feel inferior around light-skinned people. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers that ain't light-skinned, they feel inferior around light-skinned people, which is crazy to me. You dig? Like me, on the other hand, I don't feel inferior around no type of people, no matter what their ethnicity or complexion is. But hey, I love dark skin. Dark skin is just like a beautiful thing, especially dark skinned women. Like it's just a beautiful thing. And then even dark skinned men, like you know dark skinned brothers. It's one thing that I admire in them, right? That I don't have going on is that dark skin, right? It's see that's the thing about me. Like shit that I don't have myself, that other people have, I have admiration for that type of shit, right? And one thing that I admire in dark skinned men is like when them niggas get on swole, don't nobody look better on swole than dark skinned men. Why you think that bodybuilders, when they go to compete, what's the first thing they do? They tan their body up because they know that your body looks better when it's darker. So all the bodybuilders and shit, they tan up except for the dark skinned niggas. They already dark. So it ain't no need for them to tan up. You dig? So they got that advantage over everybody else in the world, man. When you a dark skinned nigga and you get on swole and your body is just defined and shit like that, you know what I mean? Them niggas got that shit going on, and that's something that I admire in them, right? You know what I mean? Like, and the majority of bitches will probably tell you it ain't nothing like a swole, dark skinned nigga. A lot of bitches like that shit, right? That's something that I admire in them. I'm not dark skinned, so I don't have that going on. But you ain't gonna see me get around a swole dark skinned nigga and be like, oh, these whole swole ass dark skinned niggas. Them niggas get all the bitches, man. You ain't gonna hear Free say no jealous ass shit like that. Motherfuckers got that bad though. They be saying shit like in a light-hearted, like humorous, soft type of way. They communicate it, they deliver it in that way, and it's and a lot of times it's unassuming. It's non-threatening. It feels friendly, so you don't look at it in a negative type of way. You don't feel no type of way about it. But I get that shit a lot. There've been plenty of times where I done been with dark skinned niggas, you know what I mean, campaigning, getting that bitch and so on and so forth, and you know, me, I understand that I got more going on for me than just my light skin. So, and I done seen light skinned niggas who just don't get no action at all because they don't know how to talk. They terrible at talking. They might not be fly. They might be insecure for whatever reason. Like, it's a lot of light skinned niggas that's just like lame as a motherfucker. You know what I mean? So the fact that I'm light skinned alone, I know that that's not the reason why I get action from bitches, right? I know it might play a part in some cases, but in the majority of cases, it's other things that I have going on with myself that seals the deal, right? But like I say, I done been out plenty of times with dark skinned niggas, you know what I mean? And I get action from bitches, and they be like, oh man, he's so light skinned nigga freeze, man. This nigga get all the motherfucking action, man. All the badass bitches always fuck with this nigga, man. Fuck this shit, man. I'm finna go bleach my skin. You know, I'm finna go make myself light skinned, man. Fuck this. This dark skin shit ain't cool, man. You know, like goofy ass shit. And you know, when I was younger and I didn't learn from certain experiences, right? I used to genuinely think that they were just being humorous, right? That it wasn't no jealousy, it wasn't no hater shit, it wasn't no envy. You know, it wasn't coming from a place of insecurity. This is what I used to think, right? But like I say, apple trees come from apple seeds, right? So when motherfuckers say shit like that, it's coming from somewhere. You know, and 9 times out of 10, it's not coming from somewhere good. It's coming from a bad place. It's coming from a place of jealousy. It's coming from a place of insecurity. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and see, what them type of dudes don't understand, man, you know, when it comes to people, you know, we all, you know, God blessed all of us with something, right? So it's some type of beauty in everybody. Like everybody walking this earth has some type of beauty to them. And everybody's beauty ain't the same. You know, we all got different types of beauty, different brands, different calibers, different degrees, different grades, so on and so forth, right? We all have some type of beauty. You know, everybody's beauty ain't physical. You know, shit, some motherfuckers have a beautiful voice. Uh some people, you know, have beautiful energy about them that's like real welcoming and makes people feel welcomed around them. You know, like I was talking about last night, listening, you know what I mean? Some people, you know, their ability to listen is a beautiful thing. But everybody, we all got different kinds of beauty about us, you know what I mean? And that's what these insecure, jealous niggas who say suck ass shit like that don't understand. They haven't tapped into to what's beautiful about them. They so focused on what they don't have that they overlooking what they do have. You dig? So because of that, you know, they haven't come to understand what's beautiful about them. See, me, I'm fully in tune with what's beautiful about myself. You dig? So, you know, when somebody else has a different type of beauty about them than what I have, you know, that don't make me feel no type of way. That don't make me feel jealous because guess what? I know that I'm a beautiful motherfucker too, and my beauty is just different than theirs. You dig? So, you know, but these insecure motherfuckers this mixed and sprinkled in the majority of pimps, they say and do shit like this, and they make little funny little gestures like that, and they really telling you who they are for real. You know, they really indicating to you the truth about themselves. They just doing it in what they believe is like a humorous, like I say, unassuming, non-threatening type of way. You know, a soft, you know, gentle type of way. They let you know that they a sucker, you know, but they don't understand it. You know, don't nobody, like the majority of motherfuckers ain't gonna self-admittedly be a sucker. You dig? But nonetheless, it's some sucker ass shit. You dig? So, um, like I say, the distinguished pimp, he don't have none of this shit about him, right? The distinguished pimp don't know how to be jealous. The distinguished pimp don't know how to be insecure. The distinguished pimp don't know how to be envious. You dig? So because of that, the distinguished pimp, you ain't gonna never hear him say no sucker ass shit, no hater ass shit about the next pimp, right? So, you know, and another thing about these, you know, these insecure, you know, jealous, envious pimps, right? They, when they see the next pimp do something great, they always try to discredit it, right? If they see you flying across the sky, God might have just blessed you to be able to fly. You know what I mean? They gonna be like, nah, man, that nigga got a jetpack somewhere, man. That nigga ain't flying like that. You know what I mean? Like when they see a pimp balling and having a whole bunch of money, hodo, nah, man, that nigga selling dope, man. That nigga ain't doing that because they can't see themselves doing that, right? A lot of motherfuckers have the problem of looking at the game through an autobiographical lens. And what I mean by that is like they projecting their own selves onto the next individual, right? So if you can't juggle two balls in your hands, then guess what? He can't do it neither. You dig? Because you can't do it, you think that the next motherfucker can't nobody do it, right? If you can't walk on your hands, if you can't walk on your hands, then guess what? The next individual can't walk on his hands neither, right? So yeah, so that's a problem that a lot of these motherfuckers have, man. And that comes from that same place of jealousy and insecurity and envy, right? You know, um, Whenever somebody say something good about the next pimp, they always want to discredit that motherfucker. You know, nah, man, he didn't do that like this, man. He did woo woo woo. You know what I mean? It can't never just be that that individual just did some great shit. They just always have to discredit it because they can't see themselves doing that same thing, right? That's why exceptional motherfuckers is always gonna get hated on because you always gonna have them type of individuals in the game that because they can't see themselves doing it, they can't understand how anybody can do that. They gonna hate and discredit a motherfucker and try to credit it to something else. Some type of cheating. They had to cheat in order to do it. Or, they had to con or deceive in order to do this shit. It can't just be that this motherfucker's a great individual and they did some great shit. It can't never be that. They always got to discredit a motherfucker some type of way. You dig? That's why you always gonna have, so-called pimps hating on pimps and so on and so forth, right? But yeah, man, like I say, you know, the distinguished pimp, he don't know how to do that. The distinguished pimp, if somebody tell him something, great about what the next pimp did, he's gonna be congratulatory. He's gonna congratulate that pimp. You dig? That's just like earlier today. My one partner, he was showing me another P that we know. He just got a new Bentley, right? And that motherfucker clean as hell. I felt good to see that motherfucker, you know what I mean, with the Bentley. And what's crazy is like I know so many individuals that were like, you know, they'll try to say that he sold dope in order to get it, or he conned in order to get it, he did some type of scam or something. You know what I mean? Like me, I don't question anything. I just look and be like, okay, Pippin did that. That's great. That's dope. Congratulations. And when I see Pippin, I'm gonna congratulate him. You dig? That's just the type of individual I am. I just don't have no type of hate in my blood, no type of jealousy. As a distinguished pimp, I just don't know how to do that shit. All I know how to do is congratulate. All I know how to do is, give props, to a motherfucker that's, you know, uh, another distinguished pimp. You dig? Now, of course, you have certain cats who I would say don't fall into the distinguished pimp category. They might have one of these three things that we touching on, or they might have two of these three things that we touching on. But one thing for sure, the distinguished pimp, he definitely is in tune with all three of these things that we touching on, right? So, like I say, the distinguished pimp, he's definitely in tune with his self-value, his self-confidence, his feeling of self-importance. The distinguished pimp got that together for sure, right? And we're going to get into the next one right now. But before we move forward, it's 177 of y'all in here right now. but only 120 y'all done wiped your feet off at the door when you came into a pimp's domain. You dig? If you haven't wiped your feet off at a pimp's door when you step into a pimp's domain, please wipe your feet off right now, please and thank you. What I mean by that is hit that thumbs up button, man. Hit that like button for a pimp one time. You dig? And if you haven't done so already, at some point throughout the day, put some of this love shit in your body, please and thank you, man. Do it for a pimp one time, like so. Mm, mm, mm. I tell you, man, y'all ain't seen nobody drink water flyer than my pimping ass. You know what I mean? I just do that shit so gracefully and specially, man. I really love this love shit, man. So I really sips it in pimp fashion. You dig? But okay, I see y'all getting them likes up, man. I appreciate y'all cooperating with a pimp, man. You know what I mean? Hitting that thumbs up button for a pimp one time. You dig? So we done touched on the first quality that a distinguished pimp possesses, which is a feeling of self-importance, a strong feeling of self-importance, self-confidence, self-value, right? The next thing that a distinguished pimp definitely has about himself is self-discipline, right? The distinguished pimp is a highly self-disciplined individual, right? And, as we get older, we get better. The distinguished pimp does, right? So there may be points in time, we go through shit. You know what I mean? We not perfect individuals. The P don't stand for perfect, right? So there may be times where the distinguished pimp isn't, a highly self-disciplined individual at this particular time, but he really has it in him. He's out whenever he's not being highly self-disciplined, he's really operating outside of his own nature. Freddie P, I appreciate you with the $5 holler. Donate to the ism, man. Good looking, man. Much appreciated. But like I say, the highly self-disciplined, uh, distinguished pimp, there may be times where he's not operating in that strong sense of self-discipline, right? So he might slack on certain things, or he might let certain things get the best of him, right? But at any given time, when he puts his mind to it, he can be highly self-disciplined because it's just in him. See, you have certain individuals in the game that's sprinkled in the majority of pimps who don't have that self-discipline about them. They not strong-willed like that. So they gonna get bested by a lot of things, right? A lot of things that they encounter is gonna have the best of them. A lot of things that they encounter is gonna be the master of them. And that's one thing about the distinguished pimp. He's the master of himself. He's not mastered by outside forces. He's the master of himself. So whatever he comes into contact with, whatever he utilizes, whatever he's involved in, he's going to remain the master of himself. And he's not going to let any of these outside forces, things, situations, what have you, be the master of him, right? Like, it could be something as simple as food, right? Sinful to P has displayed this to y'all as far as, self-mastery when it comes to eating, having a strong sense of self-discipline when it comes to eating. It's been several times at this point where Sinful to P has went 100 days, 100 plus days, putting nothing but fruit and water, fruit and love in his body, right? And it's just something that he makes his mind up to do, and then he does it. It's very simple, you know, as a lot of y'all know, and it's not to discredit anybody, but a lot of us can't do that. A lot of us can't just make up our mind one day and be like, you know what, for 100 days, starting right now, just fruit and water. That's it. The majority of us cannot do that. It's just we don't have the will to do that, right? But that's the thing about Sinful to P. Early on in his life, he had certain things instilled in him, and he was just blessed in certain ways that allow him to be that type of individual, right? So, you know, that's just one example of somebody who's highly self-disciplined. Now, Sinful to P wasn't always highly self-disciplined when it comes to food. You dig? So, like I say, when we get older, we get better and we grow, right? So he always had that self-discipline in him, even when he wasn't operating in that spirit. But when he made his mind up, it wasn't shit for him to do, you know. And when he wasn't operating that self-discipline, it was just a matter of him not wanting to do it, him not making his mind up that, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, But once he made his mind up, it wasn't like he was like one day like, damn, you know what, I'm gonna go 100 days fruit and water, and then he went like 2 weeks and then fell off and then had to start over again, and he tried it the second time and he only was able to go 35 days and then he fell off. And no, it's just, you know what, right now this is what I'm gonna do, and then the motherfucker just did it. You know what I mean, with no problem, because that's something about distinguished pimps. We just have that about us where a motherfucker could just, whenever they feel like it, just this is what it is, and just stick to it with no problem. You dig? And that's one thing that makes the pimping exceptional, is that that strong sense of self-discipline. You know, um, you might have pimps to gamble, right? But it's a different thing. It's a difference between a pimp that's doing the gambling and the gambling that's doing the pimping, right? you know, you have certain pimps that, which mind you, right? Like me myself, I don't think gambling is like something to play with. It's not even a beast that you should like entertain. That you should. It's like dancing with the devil, right? That's how I see that. But you have individuals, right, who have such a strong sense of self-discipline about them that they can gamble without getting out of control, without the gambling being the master of them. They can gamble and be the master of their gambling, and they can stop whenever they feel like stopping, and they can, stay within reason and not get carried away, and not walk away, with their pockets looking like bunny ears. You did. Um, you have pimps that drink alcohol, right? And they drink the alcohol don't drink them. You dig? Like, they can control themselves when it comes to the liquor. You got certain individuals mixed in the majority of pimps that when they gamble, the gambling is gonna get the best of them. The gambling is gonna be their master. They serving the gambling ain't serving them, right? Same thing with alcohol. You have a lot of cats mixed in the majority of pimps that when they drink the alcohol is the master of them. They not the master of the alcohol, right? And see, the thing about the distinguished pimp, if he does drink alcohol, he's gonna be the master of the alcohol. Meaning he gonna drink, and then when he feel like being done with it, he gonna be done with it. He's not gonna allow himself to get carried away. He's not gonna be sloppy. He's not gonna look a fool, act a fool. He's not gonna have anything to do with foolishness when it comes to this alcohol. He's gonna be the master of the alcohol and of himself in that situation, right? So yeah, that's the thing about the highly self-disciplined pimp. You dig? Uh and the distinguished pimp, he not gonna really fool with drugs, you know. Uh the distinguished pimp just, he that's one thing about the distinguished pimp too. He gonna be a fly motherfucker at all times, and the distinguished pimp just understands that, that drug shit, it's nothing glamorous, it's nothing cute, it's nothing fly about it. It just ain't cool, right? But, the distinguished pimp might smoke weed, but even within his weed smoking, you know, he's gonna be the master of the marijuana. The marijuana ain't gonna be the master of him, right? So whatever it is that the distinguished pimp indulges in, he's not gonna be overwhelmed by the indulgence of it. He's not gonna be mastered by whatever he's indulging in, right? Same thing with sex. You dig? You got a lot of cats mixed in the majority of pimps that they gonna be mastered by sex, right? The sex is gonna be puppeteering them like Pinocchio. You know, the sex is gonna be pulling their strings and do this, do that, go this way, go that way. You know, that's them cats mixed in the majority of pimps. But the distinguished pimp, of course, he gonna indulge in the sex, but he's not gonna be controlled by the sex. He's not gonna be dictated by the sex. He's not gonna be mastered by the sex. You dig? Like a lot of cats mixed in the majority of pimps. You know, that distinguished pimp, you know, he's gonna have the self-discipline to indulge in it, but not be carried away. You know, and he's not gonna be mastered by the sex to the point that when this bitch want to choose up, you know, he taking off his pimp hat and he putting on his gangster hat, and now he on some gangster shit because he just can't stand the thought of this bitch being with another pimp. You know what I mean? Because he just like fucking on this bitch so much that nah, man, nah, cuz, uh, you know, on the set, cuz, nah, I can't let you have that bitch, Loke, for real though. Know what I mean? That bitch got she over here fucking with a Loke, man. She gonna stay with a Loke, cuz, for real though. Know what I mean? I can't let you have that bitch, man, on Crip, man. Fuck that. You know what I mean? The distinguished pimp, he's not gonna allow himself to go there. You know what I mean? The distinguished pimp, you know, he's not even gonna fool with that demon. You know, he gonna indulge in the sex, but he not gonna allow the sex to be the master of him. He's gonna be the master of himself when dealing with this sex. You dig? That's the distinguished pimp. You know, them cats mixed in the majority of pimps, man. Man, I done seen cats get played with by hoes in so many ways because the sex had them mastered, right? You know, and you know that really falls in line with the spirit of tricking. You dig? When you're not the master of yourself and you don't have that strong sense of self-discipline, you're not a highly self-disciplined individual, you know, the opposite of that is operating in the spirit of tricking. You dig? Because that's one thing about the trick. In most instances, when it's especially when a hoe is fully in tune with her hoeing, right? When when a hoe is operating at her best, a trick ain't no match for a hoe. You dig? When a hoe is on her A game and she's being the greatest hoe that she could possibly be, the trick at his greatest is no match for the hoe at her greatest, right? So, and a big part of that is because, you know, um, the trick is just like with gambling or anything else. You know, the trick, he has a strong, you know, lust for this woman at the time. So in that type of encounter, you know, his lust is gonna get the best of him. That his lust is gonna break down any type of sense of self discipline that he had, and it's gonna it's gonna overpower that every time. You know, because he's possessed by the spirit of tricking, and he got a strong lust to have this woman sexually. So, you know, it's the same thing with the pimping. You know, when he's mastered by sex. You know, and like I said, I've seen various individuals in the game get played with various ways by different hoes because the sex just had them beat. The sex had them mastered. You dig? So, like I say, the thing about the distinguished pimp, you know, he ain't gonna allow himself to fall into that category of men in the game. You know, because you know he gonna enjoy the sex, but it's not gonna be the type of thing where he enjoys it so much that he's mastered by it, he addicted to it. You dig? He just can't go without it. You know, the distinguished pimp ain't gonna allow himself to fall like that. You know, he gonna be too strongly self-disciplined of an individual, right? So, you know, basically the distinguished pimp, because he has a strong sense of self-discipline. He's a highly self-disciplined individual. You know, he's really the master of himself. You dig? He's not mastered by outside forces or anything like that. Right, like Grandmaster say, you'll do whatever for your pleasure. You know, ultimately, the opposite of having that strong sense of self-discipline is being a sensationalist. You just so stuck on sensation. You so stuck on chasing sensation and being under the influence of a sensation. You dig that you know nothing else matters at that time. Nothing else is more important than you feeling this sensation, than you feeling good, than you know feeling a certain type of way. You dig? And that's the thing about the distinguished pimp. That's one thing that makes him so highly self-disciplined, because he's always got his priorities in order. He always realizes what's important. You know, he always keeps his values in mind. You know, not just his sense of self-value, but other things that are valuable to him as well, like family and business and so on and so forth, right? The highly self-disciplined, distinguished pimp always keep these things in mind. So, you know, the highly self-disciplined, distinguished pimp, he understands that if he gets overwhelmed by the pleasure of this woman, you know, if he allows the the sex with this woman to master him, you know, if he gets bested by that, he understands that, you know, it could mean that he could eventually compromise the things that are valuable to him. His own self-value, he might compromise that. He might compromise his pimping. He might compromise, you know, things to do with his family and loved ones. He might compromise his business. You know, these are things that motherfuckers that's overwhelmed and, you know, mastered by sex do. You know, they compromise shit. You know, as y'all already know, we in the game, we, you know, pimps and hoes. We know that tricks oftentimes compromise their marriage, they compromise their financial situation, they compromise shit, you know, they even compromise their health, or are willing to compromise their health with the type of bitches that'll compromise their health with them. But, you know, the spirit of tricking will move a motherfucker to compromise everything of value to themselves. So, you know, these guys is mixed in the majority of pimps, you know, they'll do the same thing. They'll compromise whatever's valuable to them, you know, when they mastered by the sex, you know, or whatever it is that they mastered by, you know. But the highly self-disciplined, distinguished pimp, he not letting it go down, man. It can't happen. You know, he just in tune and he on point, and he can't go for that. You dig? It's 196 of y'all in this, or 199 now in this live. 176 of y'all have wiped your feet off at the door, man. If you haven't wiped your feet off at the door when entering a pimp's domain, please do a pimp a favor. It's the least that you could do. That's the only price that I ask you to pay to check this live out, is to wipe your feet off at the door, man. What I mean by that is hit that that like button, hit that thumbs up button for a pimp one time, please and thank you. There y'all go. I see y'all getting them up, man. I appreciate y'all. You dig, for your cooperation and you know, being in harmony with this pimping. But yeah. Also, if you haven't done so, put some of this love juice in your body one time, man. Put some of that cool, refreshing drink in your body one time, man. Yeah, so, like I say, the highly self-disciplined, distinguished pimp, right? The distinguished pimp, Detroit. As always, man, I appreciate you. Highly disciplined and distinguished. You did. Right, so the distinguished pimp, right? One thing he gonna have about himself for sure is a strong sense of self-importance, right? His sense of self-value, self-confidence, self-importance, he gonna be all the way in tune with that, right? The distinguished pimp is. Another thing the distinguished pimp is gonna have about himself is that he's gonna be a highly self-disciplined individual. You know what I mean? He's gonna be able to stand firm on his P about whatever he make his mind up with, right? I gave several examples of that. Examples of self-discipline and the opposite of self-discipline. You know, uh, Being the master of yourself as opposed to being mastered by outside forces and things, right? The distinguished pimp, he gonna be highly self-disciplined, right? The third important thing that we touching on tonight that the distinguished pimp is gonna have about himself is his ability to withstand pressure, right? You know, um, the distinguished pimp, he's just gonna be able to withstand pressure because that's one thing that's driven. What that's really driven by is his integrity, right? You know, the distinguished pimp is so driven by integrity that you know he's gonna be able to withstand a lot of pressure, right? The distinguished pimp, you know, like I said, his integrity is gonna make it where he can withstand a lot of pressure, right? This is why you ain't never got to worry about the distinguished pimp snitching on anybody, right? You ain't got to never worry about the distinguished pimp buckling under any kind of pressure, right? Prophet X, I appreciate you with the $10 holler. Good looking. The distinguished pimp, he's going to be able to, whatever type of pressure you put in his face, you know, he's going to be able to withstand it and stand tall up under it, right? But you have a lot of cats mixed in the majority of pimping, you know, they don't have that about them, right? They can't withstand that pressure, right? I'll give you an example of somebody who, like Tony Storm said, standing on integrity. I'm gonna give you an example of somebody who couldn't stand on integrity because they didn't have no integrity to stand on, right? And they buckled under some light pressure, right? See, when you in the face of temptation, that could be a lot of pressure too, right? Like, like say for instance, uh, like somebody who might have quit drinking, right? Or quit smoking cigarettes, right? When they get in an environment or they get around people or things like that that's indulging in the things that they done stop doing, you know, it's the temptation is there, right? So it's a lot of pressure on them to fight that temptation, right? So that's just an example of one form of pressure being put on somebody, right? You know, uh Obviously we know that it's a lot of pressure on somebody, when they might be fighting a legal situation, right? And just like I was, I got arrested with two of my homeboys, as y'all know in the video My Life Before the Game. My homeboys, the three of us got arrested together, and we all had the same pressure put on us in the sense of, you either gonna do this time or you could tell on your partners. You know what I mean? And you cannot do this time by telling on your partners. You know, the three of us, we we had that ability to withstand that pressure, and it wasn't nothing. It was no sweat. It was just, that wasn't even an option in our minds to fold on each other and tell on each other. We just couldn't see ourselves doing that shit, so it didn't happen. Fortunately, right? We all stuck to our guns, right? But so that's another form of pressure that could be put on you, right? But I'm pretty sure I'd have spoke on this before, you know what I mean? And when I break this situation down, a lot of y'all gonna understand who I'm talking about, you know what I mean? And if you catch on to who I'm talking about, please don't even bless that individual with typing their name in the comment section, because they not even worthy of mention. You dig? That's why I'm not gonna say their name. So don't even bless this individual with a mention in the comment section, because that would just make their panties wet, right? But it's an individual, right? Did a partner of mine looked out for and bailed out of jail, right? And this partner of mine, when he bailed this other individual out of jail, you know, this individual, of course, when he got out of jail, he had been locked up for, over a year. So when he got out, like a lot of cats, he lost everything. The man ho, I appreciate you with the $10 holla. Keep cultivating minds and mindsets. I appreciate you, man. Good looking. But so yeah, you know, my partner bailed this individual out of jail. When he get out, he don't have nothing. And my partner who's bailing him out understand that, so he tell him like, look, bro, you know what I mean? Um, you ain't gotta worry about nothing. I'm gonna hold you down till you get on your feet. You know what I mean? All you got to do is pimp. You know, you know, you ain't got to worry about where you can lay your head. You can stay at my place. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bless you. I'm gonna take you, go get you some outfits. You know what I mean? Which he did. He went and bought the man some clothes and everything like that. You know what I mean? So he could be fly. And you don't have to worry about money neither, man, because I'm gonna hold you down. So uh as far as the pressure of hurrying up and being desperate and knocking a bitch right now, you don't have that pressure right now, because I'm gonna hold you down in every way. All you got to do is pimp. You know, all you got to do is pimp, right? Now, this individual who got bailed out, right? Like I said, he was locked up over a year, about a year and a half. Within this year and a half time, the last bitch that he had when he got locked up, this bitch chose up with another pimp and gave his vehicle to this other pimp, right? Not only did she give his vehicle to this other pimp, you know, uh, she also didn't see about him the whole time that he was gone. You know, uh, his bail was very reachable. You know what I mean? Especially over a year and a half time. What his bail was, a hoe this serious would have been reached him, right? But not only did she make any attempt to bail him out, she didn't make an attempt to bail him out. You know what I mean? She didn't write him, she didn't visit him, she didn't put no money on his books, she didn't send no pictures, she didn't do none of this, right? She didn't accept no phone calls, none of this, right? So it's pretty safe to say that this bitch left him for dead during these 18 months that he was locked up, right? Now, the worst thing that you could do as a pimp, because that's a form of betrayal, right? Especially choosing up with another pimp and giving that pimp your vehicle. That's definitely some betrayal type shit, right? And, the worst thing that you could do is just not only let a bitch who betrayed you come back, but let her come back with no type of pressure put on her. You dig? It ain't no pressure of, okay, bitch, you got to get this certain amount of money before you come back to me. That pressure wasn't there, right? Um, it wasn't no pressure of, okay, bitch, you got to go through this and do that and do this and do that. Like, no type of pressure was put on this bitch in order to be accepted back, right? But this dude, when he got out of jail, it was a matter of days. He didn't take long at all. Very next thing he doing is accepting his bitch back, right? So, he had a strong liking for this bitch, right? Come on, Goldie. Goldie, man, knock that shit off. Stop it, man. Don't do that, man. Leave it alone, man. Kill game. Strange weeds in the bushes. Strange weeds in the bushes, man. You know what I mean? Oh, man, you stupid. But, yeah, so, like I said, this dude, he had a strong lust for this bitch, right? So that sense of self-discipline wasn't there, right? So that's one of the three things, right? And then, you know, that pressure, you know, that pressure of the temptation being in his face because the bitch, she get on his line as soon as he get out. Now, mind you, the bitch ain't reached out to him in a year and a half that he been locked up. But as soon as he get out, the bitch get at him. You know what I mean? And she letting him know that she want to come back and fuck with him and this, that, and the third. And what he do? You know what I mean? Like I say, that's some temptation is there because he got a strong liking for this bitch and a strong lust for this bitch. You know what I mean? I think that's a big part of what it was. He just, he had a strong lust for the bitch. And, you know, when that temptation was in his face, the pressure to resist that temptation, he buckled under it. You know, he couldn't stand up to that temptation. You know, he didn't have the ability to withstand that pressure. So what did he do? He let the bitch back, right? And it was just such a black eye to him and such a black eye to the game and to the pimping as a whole because this bitch, you know, I'm pretty sure after that she had it in her mind that, I could do whatever the fuck I want to the pimping. I could do the pimping in the dirtiest of ways and then come back and he gonna take me back and it's gonna be all good. You know, I'm pretty sure she had this type of outlook towards the pimping after that. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's pimp shit. Man, motherfuckers talk all this shit about themselves. Man, I'd do a pimp any kind of way and then come right back. This nigga gonna be eating my pussy and some more shit and it ain't gonna, man, whatever with pimps, right? I'm pretty sure that she had this outlook, right? So, that's just an example of somebody who couldn't, stand up in the face of pressure, who couldn't, they didn't have the ability to withstand pressure, man. So obviously that individual can't be a distinguished pimp, right? Now, um, let's see. I can use myself. I'm trying to think of somebody else to use as an example, right? A distinguished pimp, who really stood tall in the face of pressure, right? I'll give y'all a few examples, right? But I'll use myself as an example, right? Now, um, some of y'all in here probably know about this situation too, right? But some years ago, I had this bitch, right? And this bitch had a reputation in the game for being like this super hoe, this money getting hoe. A lot of pimps was like part of this bitch's fan club, which is something that I never uh could look upon with favor. I could just never see that in a good way. A lot of pimps being a part of a bitch's fan club. I never, it's one thing to give a bitch props, but it's a whole nother thing to just be a bitch's groupie. And, I never looked favorably upon that, right? But you got a lot of cats that was like groupies of this bitch that, supposed to be some pimping, right? Mixed in the majority of pimps was a lot of cats there was groupies of this bitch. They was part of her fan club, right? So I ended up with this bitch, right? And you know, long story short, this bitch, I ended up firing the bitch. If you was to ask the bitch herself to this day, I didn't fire her. She blew up on me, and according to her, but I fired the bitch, right? So after I fired the bitch, like I've told y'all before, the one thing that'll close the door eternally on a bitch for me is betrayal, right? So this bitch, the reason why I fired her was because she did some foul shit, right? But the foul shit that she did was forgivable. She had the opportunity to make it right. She had the opportunity to, you know, uh, undo that situation and we could have moved forward. Everything would have been cool, right? But after I fired the bitch, she betrayed me. She did some betrayal type shit, right? So um, at that moment, the opportunity for her to come back no longer existed, and it won't exist forever. You know, she'll never be able to fuck with me ever again, right? So, you know, after this, after I fired this bitch, and after she betrayed me, and after I made it where she didn't have no type of action at me, right? Um, I went through a rough patch in my pimping. You know what I mean? I was having it kind of rough, right? And while I was having it rough, this bitch, was checking some money in the same town, you know what I mean, using some of the same game that I gave her. I didn't give her a whole bunch of game, but the little bit of tiny game that I gave her, she was using that shit to get money in this town, right? Same town that we in. I'm seeing the bitch around. She trying to get me the sweater. I'm staying in pocket on her. I'm not acknowledging the bitch. She'll do shit like walk past me and bump her shoulder on me, shit like that, right? I'm not blessing the bitch, right? So different partners of mine that was a part of this bitch's fan club, they follow her on Snapchat and shit, and they looking at her stories every day, and they like, Freeze, man, why you won't take the bitch back, man? Every time I talk to the bitch, because all these niggas will talk to the bitch, nobody would try to break the bitch because I don't know why, but maybe they thought she was too good to get broke on or something. I don't know. But a lot of niggas had a habit of talking to this bitch on the phone and not going for a breaking. So it's like they had phone relationships with this bitch, right? And whenever this bitch would talk to these different pimps, she would always have Freeze's name in her mouth, right? So, um, and meanwhile, while all of this is going on, she on Snapchat counting 20,000, count 15,000, count 30,000. And all of these pimps that's a part of her fan club would get at me and be like, Pete, man, why you want to go break that bitch? Hold on. Excuse my pimping for a second. So, um, they'll be letting me know, like, yeah, man, I'm looking at the bitch snap, man. She just counted 30,000 this morning, man. Why you won't take the bitch back? Woo, woo. Now, of course, for a leaking pimp, it would be some temptation there to break this bitch, right? So it's some pressure there, because a motherfucker fucked up. Like, just picture that. Put yourself in that situation. Picture that, like, you a pimp, you fucked up, this bitch that you done had before, she want to be with you, and you could easily go over there and break this bitch for whatever money she have, which this bitch is known to always have money. She at any given time, she's known to have at least 10,000 or more. So, you know, you over here leaking, and it's not like it's a brand new bitch that don't know you. Like, you done had this bitch before, and she wants you back, and you could easily go over there and break on this bitch and be cool, right? Financially. Um, you know, it's a lot of pressure for the average individual in that situation. It's a lot of temptation there to go break the bitch. You know what I mean? Because I would tell motherfuckers like, nah, man, I just can't do it. My integrity won't allow me to do it. The pimping in me, I just can't do it, man. And motherfuckers will be like, well, you don't have to see the bitch. You could just have the bitch send you the money, or you could just break the bitch and then stop fucking with her, or you could do this and you could do that. Like, motherfuckers had all these different, like, strategies and clever ways that I could break the bitch and still, like, come out victorious in the situation. But I just see, and this is the thing about the distinguished pimp, right? The distinguished pimp understands the value of his pimping, right? And see, because I understand the value of my pimping, even in them situations, right? That situation, I was fucked up and I could have easily broke that bitch, right? Like, I understand that there's an exchange in that, right? And the exchange is because I'm a reputable, well-respected pimp, right? So the exchange is she's giving me some money in exchange for being able to say, like, yeah, I did freeze like this and I did freeze like that, but I was able to break myself to freeze. Like, to me saying, yeah, I broke the bitch for this much, that's so much smaller than the bitch being able to say, I broke myself to freeze for this much, right? If you understand what I'm saying. Like, her being able to say that she broke herself to me is so much bigger than me saying that I broke the bitch, right? She has way more bragging rights in that than I do. You know, it looks so much better on her than it does on me, right? Because I'm the prize in the situation. So there's no prize in me breaking this bitch for this money, right? But it's a big old prize in her being able to say that she broke herself to freeze the pimp for this amount of money, right? After she did what she did, So, and I understood that because I understand the value of my pimping, right? But like I say, these cats mixed in the majority of pimps, they don't understand that. All they can think about is the money. And me, I understand that there's other things that are just more important than money, right? I understand that me, myself, and my pimping, you can't put a price tag on this shit. So, that would be me selling that would me giving her my pimping on discount. And I don't know how to give nobody no discount pimping. Like, I'm not a discount pimp, so I can't do that. I'm a distinguished pimp. So everything within me couldn't allow me to break this bitch, right? So, that was an example of me, having, exercising my ability to withstand pressure. You did for me because I'm so seasoned in my ability to withstand pressure, and so seasoned in me being a distinguished pimp, like, it really wasn't no pressure for me. For the average motherfucker, it might have been some pressure. They probably would have had the phone in their hand and had a finger hovering over the bitch's number, over that green button, that green phone icon. They having they thumb wrestling with the motherfucking button, like, damn, should I call the bitch? Nah, I can't call the bitch. Hold on. Nah, I can't call it. Nah. Like, the average motherfucker, they might have had that battle. But for me, it was no temptation. It was no nothing. Because I understand the value of my pimping. And I understand that this situation is temporary, right? This situation that I was going through at the time, being, fucked up or whatever, I understood that was temporary. But this bitch, it could be said forever that this bitch broke herself to me after she betrayed me. It could be said forever if I allowed that to happen, you know, just for that temporary situation. Like, everybody after a while, they're going to forget about the money as time passed, because it's been some years ago, right? So as the years pass, motherfuckers is kind of going to overlook the money, and they going to focus on the fact that this bitch, she was able to break herself to freeze after she betrayed freeze. And I could never allow that to happen. I could never allow a bitch, the right to say that. Hell no. Ain't no way in the world. And especially that bitch. If y'all knew the bitch who I was talking about, if y'all knew her, like, if y'all was able to be around her and just learn what type of bitch she was, ain't no way in the world. And see, the bitch might be watching right now. I don't know. But the bitch, one thing she can't deny to herself, she could deny to everybody else, but she can't deny to herself that she still want freeze in her life to this day, right? And that might not be forever, but it been years, and I know that she still want freeze in her life, right? But a big part of the reason for that is because of the respect that she got for freeze. She understands that distinguished pimp that freeze is, right? And she might not be able to break it down like how I'm breaking it down right now, but she just respects it, and she admires it, and she respects it and admires it so much that she want to have it in her life. But she understands that she can't have it in her life, and that's probably what makes her want it that much more, because the type of bitch that she is and the way everybody sees her, she's never been denied like that by no pimping. She ain't never had no pimping deny her action. She's always been the type of bitch that can have action at whatever pimp that she want. Like, I don't know of a time where anybody denied this bitch action, right? Not saying that there's no pimps that would deny her action, but out of the pimps that I've known her to be interested in or want to fuck with, none of them have ever denied this bitch action. And she done fucked with some reputable pimps, well-respected pimps, aside from myself. You know, uh, I don't know of any of them, and not saying that they should have denied her action, because I don't know their experiences to a T. I don't know if the bitch did them worse than what she did me, or, if she betrayed them like she betrayed me. She might not have betrayed them, so, the door might have still been open with them. But for one reason or another, the bitch ain't never been denied. So maybe she thought that she could betray a motherfucker and, look at it as a like type of situation and think nothing of it, because, oh, I'm me, like, I ain't never had a pimp deny me. So that's the last thing the bitch thinking about, like, damn, he ain't gonna let me fuck with him now, especially a bitch like that. So, you know uh that's one thing that makes the bitch want me that much more, is because, like, I'm the motherfucker that denied her, and she got a hard time living with that fact. Just like I would have a hard time living with the fact that I allowed her to betray me and then break herself to me. She got a hard time living with the fact that a pimp denied her. Like, she wants this pimp but can't have this pimp. She got a hard time living with that fact, right? But, hopefully she's learning to live with that fact, right? Best of blessings to her. I ain't got no I ain't got no ill will towards her. You dig? So yeah, so basically, like I say, man, the three major qualities that a distinguished pimp is gonna have about itself is a strong sense of self-importance, self-confidence, self-value. He gonna be fully in tune with that, right? He's gonna be a highly self-disciplined individual. The distinguished pimp is. He's gonna be highly self-disciplined. He's gonna be the master of himself. He's not gonna be mastered by anything that he has to do with. You know, he's not gonna be mastered by outside forces. He's not gonna be mastered by drugs, gambling, sex, any type of temptation, right? Any type of sensation. You know, the distinguished pimp is gonna be highly self-disciplined. And then the third thing, which was the last thing that we just touched on, is the distinguished pimp. He's gonna have that ability to withstand pressure. You dig? In the face of temptation, when that pressure is on to give in to the temptation, he not gonna buckle, right? That his integrity just won't allow him to do that. That's the thing about the distinguished pimp, right? So them three things is the three major things that I wanted to touch on, right? So at this time, if you have not wiped your feet off at the door, please do a pimp a favor and wipe your feet off at the door, man, when you step into a pimp's domain. What I mean by that is hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button one time for a pimp, please, and thank you. You dig? Okay, we done got the likes up. You dig? We got 253 likes. We got more likes. The likes done surpassed the viewers. That's what's up. That means a good majority of y'all done wiped your feet off at the door. I appreciate y'all. You dig? It's the least you could do. You know what I mean? To keep this shit going. You dig? Yep. Like Danny Grayson say, that's a good point. Not only do you gotta have self-discipline, you gotta know when and how to discipline people around you. boundaries and standards have to be set. Indeed, you dig? Because you know that's how you provoke greatness. You know, by having that discipline in your unit, your family, your mix, whatever you want to call it, right? That's how you provoke greatness, is by having that discipline. You know, so when you putting that discipline on the others around you, you know, and a lot of people look at discipline as like a bad thing, or when you say discipline somebody, like they thinking of it in a bad way. But no, it's not that. It's just like I say, it's provoking greatness in somebody. You know, when you can withstand things and you can be the master of yourself and not give in to certain temptation, and you know, chase after certain sensations to the point where they got you mastered instead of you having it mastered. You know, that discipline, man, it provokes greatness. So that's, yeah, definitely a good point. All right, y'all go ahead and ask some questions. I'm gonna start answering questions now, and I'm gonna put y'all on hold for a minute. Hold on just a second for me. Stay right there. Hold up. All right, back with y'all. But yeah, like I say, man, if y'all got any questions, feel free to shoot. Tony Storm say, when the next tape coming out? That last joint was fire. I appreciate that, man. Glad you enjoy it. Uh, you know, with this whole coronavirus shutdown business going on, um, I don't know, man. Hopefully, I could put something out by the end of the year, man. You know, but with a motherfucker not being able to move the way that we normally move, uh, it's gonna definitely slow things down. So hopefully, this stuff doesn't get prolonged ridiculously. And with that being the case, hopefully I can get something out by the end of the year, man. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping I could drop something by the end of the year. Yeah. Hold up, hold up. eLove11 says, "How are you staying in shape now that all gyms are closed?" Yeah, man, it's fucked up, man. Uh, Of course I can't do the things that I want to do, so I just got to make do, man. I'm still looking for some dumbbells right now or some type of weights, but in the meantime, I'm gonna just have to do my calisthenics, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, uh, things of that nature, and of course the ab wheel, so that's what's going on right now. But in the meantime, I'm doing that and still looking for some damn weights to buy so I can, have some type of weights with my workout. Top Dog 91 says, how do you conduct yourself and check a female when a female call you out your name? You know, when I once upon a time, right, I was really quick tempered when it came to that, right? And if a female did that to me, I want to be like real aggressive towards her, right? And I might want to do something like cause harm to her, or I might even want to egg her or roast the shit out of her, go back and forth with her and things like that, right? But as I come more in tune with myself and I get more seasoned in this self mastery thing, right? Now I have the outlook of, if that's all it takes for a female to get me out of my character is to call me out of my name, then I like me, I'm empowering her, very easily empowering her to have a power over me, to be able to control me. You dig? Hold on. Yeah, that's me very easily allowing her to control me. And see, certain females understand that. They understand that the average man has the type of pride about himself that, he don't want to let nobody call him out of his name, right? And that's going to push certain buttons in the average man. Certain females understand this, right? So with that understanding, they'll do things to provoke a man in a certain type of way to get a certain type of reaction out of him, right? And me, I just don't want to be that predictable. I don't want a female to be able to think that she can control me and puppeteer me in that way. You dig? So with that said, you know, uh, a lot of times when a female call you out your name, right, it's it doesn't just happen, right? It doesn't just happen with you not engaging in that female, right? And not engaging with her, what I mean, having some type of interaction with her. Usually it's something that leads up to that. Usually it's something that leads up to her, calling you out your name and disrespecting you like that, right? Now, of course, a lot of times we don't we don't take any kind of actions to justify her disrespecting you like that. Nonetheless, a lot of females, they understand that they can't whoop you physically, so the next best thing is to get you riled up and get you out of character by calling you out your name, right? um but like I said, me, I don't ever want to be that predictable. You dig? And like I say, there's things that lead up to a female going there, right? So you just have to be good at reading females, right? And a lot of times, if you're mindful of it, you can see that energy in a female before it gets to that point, right? But a lot of times, you know, us as men, let alone just the pimping, just men, period, right? We might see a fat ass on a bitch, or she might be fine as hell, or, you know, she might be sexy as a motherfucker, whatever the reason, right? We'll continue talking to a bitch even though we see that energy reveals itself, but we'll continue on talking to this bitch, right? You know what I mean? Or, you know, as the pimping, you know, oh, this bitch, you know, she got a reputation for getting a whole bunch of money, or whatever the case may be. You know, for one reason or another, we might like something about this bitch. And even when she shows you who she is, you continue engaging with that bitch, right? So basically, my point is, usually 9 times out of 10, before that disrespect comes and she calls you out of your name, she's going to give you some type of indication that if you continue engaging with her, she can and will go there, right? She'll give you the indication early on enough to where if you stop talking to her right now, it won't happen, right? So, you know, like I say, you just got to be mindful of, you know, this female, and pay attention to certain things and read certain things, because she gonna tell you who she is 9 times out of 10, right? So you just got to pay attention to that, and it'll prevent that altogether, right? But, you know, like, in the event that it happens, you know, you just got to learn how to be cool about that shit, man. It's not easy, especially as a man with pride. You know, you know, it's hard for us to swallow our pride in situations like that, especially from a female that's smaller than us, you know what I mean? And physically less powerful than we are, so on and so forth. And we you know, we the man, I'm the man, you know what I mean? Just with that type of mindset, it's hard for us to swallow our pride and, like, did this bitch just call me a bitch? What? Did she just call me a punk ass nigga? What? Do she like? Does she not know how to do X, Y, Z? Woo, woo, woo. Like, you know, it's hard to you know, because we're not perfect, so we can't allow ourselves to fuel that happening, right? But like I say, if you pay attention and you be mindful, of course, it's something that's a work in progress. You know, you ain't gonna just be perfect at it right away. I mean, you might be, you might not, but just be mindful of that. You did, so that you don't even put yourself in them types of situations. You know, like, you know, this bitch, you know, it might not even have nothing to do with you, right? Like, you might walk up to the bitch and see her, and she might have just got off the phone with her baby daddy or her ex-boyfriend or something. And you know, like, oh, what's going on with you, baby? Oh, nothing, you know, just got off the phone with this old punk ass nigga or this bitch ass nigga. Like, if she do that, you know, it's she might not be, you know, putting that energy towards you, and you might be able to, like, you know, change her energy and have her, you know, be totally off of that and have a good conversation, a positive conversation with her, right? But she's letting you know right there that she could go there, you know what I mean? And you never know. That nigga on the other line, on the other end of that phone that she was talking to, he might have been the coolest nigga in the world. But because she can't have her way with him, he's a bitch ass nigga. You know what I mean? So, like I say, it's things like that that'll let you know, like, you know what, I ain't got no business dealing with this bitch, man. She probably was raised by a scornful mama that didn't like men, and it raised her to be a bitch that don't like men. You know what, I'm cool, man. She probably had no type of male figure in her life that she respected and, you know, had love for, so she probably gonna be that same type of way with me, man. You know what, I'm cool. Like, like I say, most females is gonna give you that type of indication, man, so you could just avoid that situation altogether. You dig? Shadow Dio say, what's up, Freeze? Do pimps ever retire, cash out, and disappear, or invest in some other business once they become elderly, or pivot until they die? What would you do? You know, to answer your question, you know, you do have some pimps that do that. You know, I will say that the pimping is I would think a pure, genuine pimp is always gonna have the pimping in him. Even if he transitions into another walk of life, he's always gonna have the pimping in him. But as far as retiring from the game, you have certain P's that do that, and then you have certain P's like I know cats this senior citizens that's still checking it like a motherfucker, checking it more than the majority of young pimps. You know, having it their way, still having young bitches that's young enough to be their grandchildren. So uh, just like we all, have unique fingerprints. Everybody's pimping is unique, and because of that, every situation is gonna be unique. So, for some, they might pimp till they 100 years old or some shit like that. You never know. Then you got some that might retire after so many years or so many decades or whatever the case may be. And as for myself, I can't really say right now, you know, because you never know what type of twists and turns life may have. So, I don't know what's in store for me at this point, as far as like decades down the line. Mr. Marcus says, what you think about Filthy Rich pimping his baby mama? Uh, I don't know about Filthy Rich pimping on his baby mama, but I will say in general, you know, a pimp pimping on his baby mama, I don't really see a problem with that. You know, I don't know. I don't see nothing really. I don't see that as a bad thing. You know. Top dog say right. I just don't. I think you meant to say don't want any woman thinking it's okay calling me out my name. Yeah, I feel you on that. But you it's a certain energy that you got to have about it, right? And it's a certain type of way that you present it. And you want to present it in a way like, bitch, you're not powerful enough to get me out my character. Like, you little uh weakling of a bitch. You like, you're not. Ain't nowhere in the world I'm gonna bless you with the power to get me out my character and get me spitting and foaming at the mouth. You know what I mean? With anger and overwhelmed by anger. You know what I mean? Because you called me out my name. Like, bitch, your little bitty ass words ain't big enough to, dictate my manhood in one way or another, bitch. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? But of course, you're not even blessing her with these words out of your mouth. This is just your energy and your attitude. Like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how you got to be, especially in today's world, because you know, uh, it's fucked up. Like, I don't know if y'all remember on Minister Society when when damn, what was dude's name? The brother that turned Muslim, his dad, when he was talking to them in the classroom. You know what I mean? His dad was telling Cain, the hunt is on and you're the prey. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what's going on with us right now, man, as men. Not just black men, but men, period, right? The hunt is on and we are the prey. Sharif, there we go. I'm tripping. I don't know why I couldn't remember Sharif, you know what I mean? But yeah, Sharif's pops in the movie, you know what I mean? Um, he was like, the hunt is on and you're the prey. You know, really the hunt is on and us men are the prey. Because, especially if you're a high profile man, right? If you got a lot of money or a lot of power or a lot of fame or anything like that, you really the prey. You dig? Or, if you just have any type of importance, you the prey. So, um, you got to keep in mind that, like, it's just the thing nowadays for women to set traps for men. You dig? So you can't fall for these traps. You got to be on your A game at all motherfucking times. You dig? Because you just see what's going on with a lot of these dudes, right? That's just like, for instance, right, not too long ago, what's his name? Hitmaker. A lot of y'all probably know him as Young Berg too. You know, Young Berg is his rap name. Hitmaker is his producer name, right? Um, he had a situation not too long ago where a bitch was saying, I think she said he pistol whipped her. But basically she was saying that he, did some bodily harm to her, right? And, he went on to say that, what really happened was she set him up to be robbed, right? And, she set it up to where these niggas came to his house and he had video footage of some niggas running up in his crib and all of that. Like, he did have the footage of that, right? But he ended up saying like, yeah, what really happened was she set me up to be robbed and, I could have lost my life and yada yada, right? But see, had dude been on his A game and been mindful of the fact that, he's the prey in a lot of situations in the world, it's a lot of women hunting that would love him to be their prey. If he's mindful of this fact and operating based on that fact, he could prevent himself from being put in certain situations, right? And whether that's true, did he pistol whip the bitch, or whether it's true that the bitch set him up to be robbed, both ends of the spectrum is fucked up. And it all has to do with, him having a relaxed attitude about, who and what he is as a man. And the fact that, a lot of women can and will prey upon him, and see him as an opportunity to get some money, to get some clout, or whatever the case may be, and it's fucked up because these bitches be preying on these men for money and clout, and the money and clout that they get out the situation might be small as a motherfucker, but it's like you playing with this man's life. You playing with this man's livelihood. You playing with this man's freedom. It's just fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, these women just be preying on motherfuckers. It's just a thing to do now. Because we live in a world now, and I've said this before, we live in a world now where it's cool to be a victim. The coolest thing you could be right now is a victim, right? It's not cool to be a hero. You know what I mean? In today's, in the eyes of today's world, the victim is the hero. If you get victimized in a certain type of way, you know what I mean, and motherfuckers look at you with sympathy and shit like that, they see that as being heroic. You don't even have to conquer a situation or, survive a situation. Just the fact that you were victimized in a situation, that's seen as a heroic thing in today's times, right? So, in a lot of these situations, the victimizer, the perpetrator, the culprit is a man, right? So if you understand this as a man, you're gonna be mindful of it and you're gonna operate around that based on that, right? So, I say all of that to say just little things like a woman calling you out of your name. You got to understand your value and you got to understand what's important. You know what I mean? And you can't, of course, the majority of situations where, if you're not some famous motherfucker or you're not responsible for a lot of people or a lot of money or something like that, you just a young fly motherfucker to yourself or whatever the case, you just a man and a female call you out outside of your name, uh, it can and cannot be a lot on the line depending on what the situation is. But you just want to have that nature about yourself where, You don't let a female provoke you to get out of character based on something as small as calling you outside of your name, because really that shit is small. Because the last thing you want is to be in the motherfucking county jail eating spicy bologna and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with an apple, and motherfucker like, man, what you in here for, man? Oh man, it's so faggot ass bitch, man. I did this to her, I did that to her, woo woo. Or they trying to say I did this, they trying to say I did that, but the bitch called me a bitch though. So like, if you really think about it, the reason why you sitting in there is all because a bitch called you a bitch and you just couldn't stand it. You had to do something about it. And it's like, look at the price that you paying. You know what I mean? And this bitch 9 times out of 10 ain't even important. But you making her powerful enough to fuck off your freedom if you do something to her. It's like, this bitch ain't even important. She ain't got nothing going on. The only thing that she got going on is the fact that niggas want to fuck her. And 9 times out of 10, she don't even know what to do with that power, because there's a power in that. There's a power in the fact that men want to fuck this bitch, but she don't even know how to utilize that power and capitalize on that power. You know what I mean? She just think it's cool to have a bunch of niggas in her DM, even though she broke as a motherfucker staying at her mammy's house. You know what I mean? She think it's cool, and everybody else think it's cool too. The fact that dudes want to fuck her, but really this bitch ain't important though. She's not an inspiration to women. She's not an inspiration to people in the world. All she know how to do is shake her ass and look cute. She doesn't have a strong power of influence where she's being an inspiration to people or anything like that. It's just a bitch. And to let just a bitch, get you out of character like that, it just ain't cool. You know what I mean? Especially, like I said, in today's times, because you know men are just getting preyed upon left and right, man. Like, so, you know, let that bitch make it, man. But let her make it in such a way, like I say, where you just display a certain type of energy. You just have a certain type of aura about yourself where, like, bitch, I'm so motherfucking big. Do you see how big I am, bitch? You think I'm gonna let you phase me with this little ass shit you doing? You's a little bitty bitch. Like, nothing about you, because you're so fucking small, you can't produce anything big enough to move me out of my character. Bitch, I'm immovable to you. Bitch, I'm a fucking statue. You can't move me, bitch. Who the fuck do you think you are? Of course, like I said, you're not saying these words to her, but this is the energy that you putting off to this bitch. Like, bitch, do you see how fucking big I am? Go find the nearest mirror and see how fucking small you are, bitch, compared to me. Like, no. You're not finna get me out of character, bitch. There ain't no way in the world that you'll have that type of power ever in your life. So, small love break. You dig? Renaissance XO say when they come around with that brown paper bag, it really sinks in. For real. And you sitting there in that fucking jumpsuit around a bunch of smelly ass men, you know what I mean, who can't take a shower and need to take a shower. We all funky and smelling each other and shit, and they passing around this brown paper bag, and we sitting in the motherfucking tank all day waiting to get arraigned, or waiting, for trial, or whatever the case may be, man. Fuck that. That's when it really sinks in. But it's supposed to sink in right now before all that shit happens. Right now is when it's supposed to sink in, you dig? Unfortunately, a lot of times it don't sink in until after the fact. But right now it's supposed to sink in, man. Top dog, as always, man, you already know I appreciate you as well. For sure, for sure. Reading these comments, y'all. Excuse a pimp. Lamar Rose, I see you said the reason I asked, so I'm looking for your question. Lamar Rose. Where is your question? Lamar Rose, I don't see your question. You said the reason I asked. Let's see what you said. The reason I asked. The reason I asked is because I had a debate about this with my friend about, and I wanted to know your opinion on it because you're a pimp. I don't see your question in the comment section. I must have missed it, or it must be lost deep in the shuffle or something. Uh, Lamar Rose, if you still here, do me a favor and ask that question again. Excuse me for that, but I must have missed it. Mac Boss said you can't pimp from the zipper with a temper. No, you cannot, man. It's so much, all things wrong with that. From the zipper and with a temper, that's all bad. Flies to P, speak on how sharp your fresh turnout game is. Campaign. You know what? I'm gonna have to do a whole nother video about that. Flies to P, because that's to me that's a whole separate video in and of itself, man. I'm gonna have to touch on that another time because that's something that I could go real deep on. So yeah, I'll touch on that another time. Mommy Rika say freeze, much wealth and safety to you and yours. I appreciate you. Thank you. Prophet X say I needed this pep talk a year ago. I went for the bait and still paying for it. Yeah, man, it's all good. But the beautiful thing about it is that you still here and you able to learn from it and move forward with that lesson. You dig? So you saying you still paying for it, but if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, the fact that you still here and that you was able to learn from it and move forward and be better moving forward, that might be a small price that you paying right now in the grand scheme of things. You dig? That's how I would look at it. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, Lamar. I dig it. I needed that game. I needed to hear that. Dig that. That's what's up. I'm glad you appreciate it. Breaking news say speak on the coronavirus and stand down. Uh, right now is the time to get very creative, right? And see, just like I spoke on before, right? This is you know what, for a lot of people, this is a fucked up time. I might have to do another video about this, right? But I'll touch on it a little bit and try not to go too in depth with it, right? Because I could do a whole another separate video on this fact, right? On this topic. But as far as the coronavirus and its effects on the game and staying down through it, right? Right now is a time to be very creative. Creativity is gonna get you through this, right? If you're a creative motherfucker and you could think of different ways to execute the game unconventionally and still win, you're gonna be all right. But one thing that's gonna hinder that creativity is the convenience of the world right now. See, that's one thing that's fucked up because with everything being shut down and us not being able to live how we normally live, we kind of like being imprisoned in a lot of ways. A lot of ways, this is like those of y'all who done been to prison, it's similar in a lot of ways. It's still a lot better than prison, but it's some ways that prison has an advantage over being out here right now, right? Like, but this situation that the world is in right now, especially if wherever you at, if it's shut down and you got this stay at home order or shelter in place or whatever they want to call it, right? You know, uh in a lot of ways it's like prison. But the fucked up thing about it, which, as far as when it comes to creativity and being great, just like I said in that one video before, you know, uh a lot of people ain't gonna be great because they addicted to convenience, right? And see, the fact that we can't move around like we normally would, a lot of us are doing things that we should have been doing, right? Like, it's a lot more people exercising. Like in my neighborhood where I live at, right? I noticed that, like, drastic difference, right? When you go through my neighborhood, it's a whole lot more people out there walking. It's a whole lot more people out there jogging. It's a whole lot more people out there riding a bike. It's a whole lot more people exercising right now. And like I told you, all the dumbbells at every fucking Walmart that I done been to like 5 or 6 Walmarts. I done been to a couple of Targets. I can't find no dumbbells anywhere, right? So everybody is buying up the dumbbells and all the exercise equipment. It's a lot more people exercising now than it was before, right? Why? Because they restricted on what they can do with their time. And it's just like being locked up, right? When motherfuckers get locked up, what do? Because they can't do all the shit that they normally do with their time, they work out. You know what I mean? I was one of them motherfuckers. When I got locked up, because I couldn't do all the normal shit that I normally do, I spent a lot of my time working out. You know what I mean? Whereas before I went to prison, when I was on the street, I wasn't really working out like that. Not every day. I might, work out for a week or two and then fall off and shit like that. But I wasn't at that time, I wasn't serious about working out before I went to prison. But when I went to prison, because I was restricted on my freedom and my liberty, I was working out. So a lot of people in the world, or especially in America, have that going on right now because they can't do the things that they normally do with their time. They can't go to work. They can't go to the mall. They can't go to the club or to the bar. They working out. You know what I mean? Because they don't have other things to do with their time. You dig? So in that aspect, it's good. And like I said, it's affecting people very similarly to how prison affects us, right? But like I say, the problem that we have out here that most people in prison don't have is that addiction to convenience, and the fact that even though the world is fucked up, it's still very convenient. Why? Because a lot of times, right? And I give props to Sinful because he's one of the few people that I see do this, right? Probably damn near one of the only motherfuckers I see do this, right? But once upon a time, when we thought of something and we had a question in our mind, we would sit back and try to figure it out and try to remember, or we would open a book and try to get the answer there. But you know, uh, eventually came around a thing called Google, where whatever question you got in your mind, you can ask Google and Google gonna give you the fucking answer. So that's one way that the world is like hella convenient. But that's one thing I admire about Sinful. Like, if he got a question in his mind, before he go to Google, he gonna open a book, or he gonna like sit and exercise his mind to figure it out on his own. You know what I mean? The last thing that he gonna do is Google that shit. You know what I mean? And the majority of us are lazy. Like me, I be having a lot of questions in my mind, and I can't front. A lot of times when I have questions in my mind, I go to Google. You know what I mean? I'll Google the shit. That's something that I need to work on, is not using Google so damn much, because it makes you mentally lazy. That's a convenience that you get addicted to. I can't lie. I think that I'm probably addicted to that convenience. You dig? But That's the dilemma with what's going on right now, right? As far as the game and staying down through this coronavirus shit, a lot of us can be very creative right now. And if we sit back and tap into our creativity, tap into our creative mind, we could think of some cold shit. If you just sit back and meditate and brainstorm, you might come up with some cold ass shit and be like, damn, I should have been doing this shit years ago. And I could do it right now and get some money in the game, right? you know and it's these types of situations that provoke that type of creativity and provoke that type of greatness in us. Just like when we go to prison, right? Motherfucker, go to prison, you got a lot of time on your hands. You can't just watch TV when you want to, or uh get on your phone and surf social media when you want to, right? So what do? We get creative than a motherfucker, and we start thinking of great ass shit. You know what I mean? Some of the greatest books that been wrote by motherfuckers in prison. You dig? So um like I said, right now is a time where if motherfuckers tap into their creative mind, they could do some cold shit in the game. But what's gonna hinder a lot of us, the majority of us in the game, from tapping into our creative minds is that convenience, right? We addicted to convenience. And certain conveniences we don't even have right now, but we just addicted to convenience, period. It has made a lot of us lazy to the point where, we think we too good to do certain shit. That's like the strippers, right? You know what I mean? This just go to show you, this is give you an idea of how motherfuckers are so addicted to convenience. They're not gonna tap into their greatness, right? Strip clubs is closed everywhere. It ain't no strip clubs open, and strip clubs been closed for at least a week, right? So all the bitches that's like strippers and that's all they know, that's all they do, they hurting right now. They feeling it. I don't give a fuck what none of them say. You know what I mean? They might be on social media trying to make it look good. A lot of them is real quiet on social media. A lot of them stripper bitches that you seen making posts every day, they real quiet right now. But now that the strip club is closed, the majority of them are starving. Why? Because they not even thinking about tapping into their creative mind. Why? Because they addicted to the convenience of the strip club. You know what I mean? And now they in a crisis situation and they don't even know how to deal with this crisis situation because they so fucking addicted to convenience. They ain't never had a time where they had to tap into their creative mind and be great and do some great shit. A lot of them thought they was doing some great shit because they was getting some good money in a strip club, but it's a whole bunch of bitches that was doing that. And now they realize, or now they probably not realizing, but a lot of people, damn, you wasn't really that great. You just had a great situation, but it wasn't really nothing great about you that was being displayed and exercised. You dig? But right now is a time to, exercise greatness and tap into your creative mind, right? But a lot of the bitches that work the strip clubs, a lot of bitches that work the strip clubs, they not gonna tap into that greatness. You dig? So they gonna be stuck in the water, not moving nowhere. You dig? So um yeah, it's gonna be ugly for the majority of people in the game, but for the few of us that tap into our creative minds and figure something else out, we gonna be all right. Yeah, y'all done got the likes over 300, man. I appreciate y'all. Like Anton say, you know what I mean? If you haven't wiped your feet off at the door at this time, you know what I mean? Please do a pimp a favor. That's the least that you could do. When you step into a pimp's domain, wipe your feet off at the door. What I mean by that, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button for a pimp one time, please and thank you. And as always, if you have not done so at this point, throughout the live or throughout your last 24 hours period, do a pimp a large favor. You know what I mean? I greatly appreciate you if you put some of this love shit in your body. You know what I mean? Because this shit gonna love you even when you don't love it. You dig? Excuse me, I'm responding to a message right now. Excuse my pimping. Okay. Mr. Full Time, you cold blooded, man. All the strippers working at Major right now. Yeah, that's the only place to work right now is a grocery store or a Walmart or a Target or, something like that. It's fucked up, man. The whole world gonna be fucked up trying to recover from this shit when this shit is all over with, man, because a lot of different type of businesses is fucked up, man. Like shit like nail salons, hair salons, tattoo shops, uh, it's just so many businesses, man. Sporting goods places, Dick's Sporting Goods. That's where I was hoping I could go get some workout equipment. Dick's Sporting Goods is closed. Any type of clothing stores. All that shit is man. The economy, a lot of shit that thrives the economy is fucked up right now. So, man, hey, it's gonna be fucked up recovering from this shit. You dig? And if they don't hurry up and do something, you know what I mean? I can see shit getting real crazy. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of people, a lot of y'all that's watching right now, probably, you know what I mean? That live paycheck to paycheck and can't get no money right now. So drastic times call for drastic measures, man. So, man, I can see it getting real ugly. And I hope they come to a resolution and fix this situation, fix this dilemma that we in before it gets ugly like that. You dig? Hustle mania, yeah. Man, thank God what I do is essential. Yeah, if what you do or what you got going on, what you provide to the world is essential, man. It's a beautiful thing. Even if it's essential in an unconventional way, it's still essential. You know what I mean? Right, bro. Cook says facts. I went to my local sporting goods store to stock up on firearms, and they were sold out. Only bought bullets. Yeah, man. I seen that shit on the news the other day. I forget what the percentage is that it went up, but they said it was a major surge in firearm sales in America. It's been a major surge. Like a lot of people been stepping they firearm game up right now. You know what I mean? A lot of people buying pistols and rifles and shotguns. Oh my! Right now, you dig? So, yeah, got to stay prayed up, man. Damn, facts at Hustle Mania. I drive trucks, and we on fire right now. The DOT even extended our hours. Yeah, I'm already knowing. Yeah, and as a truck driver, y'all always got to be on your toes. But at a time like this, because I've already heard about some bullshit in California, man. One of my loved ones that I was talking to in Cali was telling me some shit about motherfuckers waiting outside of grocery stores for them trucks to pull up and waiting outside of Walmarts and Targets and shit like that, waiting for them truck drivers to pull up so they could get them, man. Shit. Yeah, you got to be on your toes. Got to stay prayed up and stay prepared. Bro Cook said, I got heat. That's why I bought bullets. Exactly. For real. Dante Williams say, yeah, I drive trucks too. I deliver cement. All the DMV closed. I had to renew my license on Monday, but thank God they extended it until June 2020. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, they it's a lot of things going on that's, unconventional, to make things cool in these times, right? Like for instance, my partner, he in prison right now in California. He called me last night, right? And it's a trip because I always keep money on the phone for him. And I just put some money on the phone for him like probably 2 weeks ago, but I haven't talked to him maybe in about 3 weeks or a month or something like that, right? But I just put some money on the phone for him since the last time we talked, right? But when he called me last night, he was letting me know, he was like, yeah, bro, I don't know what's going on, man, but they done made it where we got free phone calls here in the pen, man. So, I've been able to call for free for the past week now. So that's one thing that's dope. Just little shit like that. So if you got loved ones in prison in California, they're able to make free calls right now. So that's dope, you know what I mean? Because, them phone calls, man, that money add up after a while. Especially if you got some if you got some loved ones in jail that just love staying on the motherfucking phone, that shit burn up quick. But they able to make free calls right now, so that's dope. All right, man. So I'm gonna answer questions for a few more minutes. Chop it up with y'all for a few more minutes. Once again, I appreciate the 322 of y'all that wiped your feet off at the door before you stepped into a pimp's domain. And at this point in time, if you haven't wiped your feet off at the door, please do so right now. Please and thank you. What I mean by that is hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button for a pimp one time. New Wave, I appreciate you with the $5 holla. The people need to access silver precious metals and accumulate at least 6 months of food and water. This is a global economic reset. I dig that. Yeah, it's still gonna be, no matter what we do though, man. It's yeah. This global economic reset gonna be a motherfucker. Paul Lang, I appreciate you with the $5 holla. Good looking. Freeze, what you think about 5G? I don't know. I keep hearing that 5G shit, but I honestly I haven't researched it or anything like that. But I honestly don't think that's the problem. I don't think that's the problem because I think a lot more people would be affected by this if it was a 5G thing. I would just think, like me myself, I think a lot more people would be affected by it. And I know some people with 5G that's not being affected by it. So, you know, I don't know. Lamar Rose said my brother couldn't even buy bullets because they're sold out where he lives. Yeah, motherfuckers stocking up right now because everybody it's like a the tension in the air is thick as a motherfucker right now. It's real thick. Some people probably can't see it or feel it, but I do. I definitely do. Dante Williams says, Freeze, do you have plans for life after pimping? Uh, well, like I said earlier, man, I don't know if you was here for that, but, the pimping is always going to be in me. You know what I mean? But I may transition one way or another in life. But I don't see that right now. I don't know what that transition is going to consist of at this moment. I don't know. Bro Cook says, what y'all think about the police going AI? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. But uh, I don't know. I don't think that would be a good thing. Bro Cook says, do y'all think 5G and COVID is related directly? Yeah, once again, I don't know, but I don't think so. Me, myself, I really don't think so. But, I advise everybody to be safe and be mindful and don't underestimate these times. Don't because you gotta think about what's going on right now. A lot of things in the world are taking place that have never taken place in the world right now. So you got to be prepared for the worst right now because it could get real ugly. And you just got to think about like what's really going on right now. Like just little shit like all the evictions being put on hold and nobody being able to be evicted right now. Uh, all these businesses being shut down. We ain't never experienced a shutdown like this before. Um, it's crazy. All these CEOs stepping down from their positions. In January, more CEOs stepped down in January than they ever did. 219 CEOs of corporations stepped down from their position in January. 219. That's crazy. Uh, it's one CEO. I think I remember what his name is, but I don't want to say it wrong. One of y'all, I'm pretty sure, gonna say it in the comment section. But it's a CEO who was in his position for 60 years. This man was a CEO of this company for 60 years, and he stepped down from his position. After 60 years, he chose this time to step down from his position. That's crazy. Bill Gates to step down. Uh, a whole bunch of CEOs have stepped down. Uh, it's some other CEOs that I'm thinking of. I can't remember all their names. Anton say, unprecedented for sure. I'm a 74 kid. Yeah, man. Crazy times. Mr. Full Time say, it's crazy. I went to the store and all the fresh food was fully stocked, but it wasn't any frozen food. Yeah, one thing I noticed when I went to Walmart yesterday, that was the first time since all this shit been going on that I saw there was like lunch meat. Even though I don't eat lunch meat for real, like it was something that I noticed, like because all the meat was gone. And they starting to have meat again. It's starting to be like not so hard to find meat like it was before. So that's one thing that's good. Right, like Suave say, they know something big is coming that's going to cripple the economy. They stepping down and taking big money out the companies. Pay attention. Indeed, yeah, they cashing their chips in. They stepping away, man, and they finna go duck off in their corner and be left alone. I'm already knowing. Flies to Peace said the CEO of MGM Grand stepped down and immediately bought thousands in MGM stocks. Yup, I'm already knowing. Shit crazy. Venice Blue Dev, yeah. Much respect, homie. I remember you saying you was locked up with my homie Twin from Venice Showline Crib. Yeah, I was in there with Twin and the homie Shantae. The homie Shantae from Venice Showline. They was some solid dudes up in there. I was real cool with Shantae, man, because when me and Shantae, when we used to spread, when all the brothers used to spread, me and Shantae used to cook. We was the chefs up in there. You know what I mean? And I seen Shantae one time on the streets too. I was up there at Venice Beach, and I seen Shantae. He was up there with all of his homies and shit. Yeah, good dude. Twin was a good dude too. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this on up. You dig? But as always, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. You dig? I appreciate y'all for all of your comments, all your questions, all your feedback, input, so on and so forth. You know, I appreciate y'all for hitting that like button for a pimp, wiping your feet off at the door. Even if you hit the dislike button, I appreciate that too. It's all good. I appreciate all of the shares. I appreciate y'all subscribing. I appreciate y'all hitting the bell when you subscribe. And I appreciate all the super chats. You dig? I appreciate all of y'all support in every which way that you come with it, man. And as y'all can see, you know, uh, a pimp got a lot of time on his hands, man. So, I'm going to be chopping it up with y'all kind of often these days, you dig, while all this shit is going on, because there's a lot of other shit that I wish I could do that I can't do right now, just like y'all. So just like y'all probably would be doing something else besides, being tuned into a pimp at 1 in the morning, Eastern time, 10 o'clock at night, Pacific time. You know what I mean? We all doing shit that we normally wouldn't be doing at this time right now. So, we gonna get real acquainted. You know what I mean? We gonna be real good friends with each other. You dig? So yeah, man, I'm gonna tap in with y'all in a minute, man. I appreciate y'all. And as always, if you are out and about moving around, please do so in a safe fashion. Freeze is it. I holla.